set it off. Go to Vegas, bet it all. Put it on the Bucs to win, whoever they gon' play gon' fall. Don't say I ain't told y'all. Loose cannons gon' fold y'all. Yeah, the Heat be 9-3, but it gets real cold in the fall. That's when the season start. Bucs come in 40 hard. Win after win, ripping the division apart. Panthers, they pussycats. Falcons got bird flu. Take the Ravens and Dolphins and open up a zoo. Cause one thing's for sure, better than the Bucs, they show lane. No and every day in Tampa Bay, we say fuck the Saints. We in Tampa Bay, baby. 813 going crazy. Tampa, boy. This Bucs podcast be the greatest. Loose cannons blasting on them haters. And we in Tampa Bay, baby. Tell them where you from. 813 going crazy. Yeah. This Bucs podcast be the greatest. Loose cannons blasting on them haters. Now when I say
What is up, Bucs Nation? It is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, and you're watching the Loose Cannons podcast. I am your boy, the one and only host of this show, by the way, the Sammer Ali, hanging out with my very pale, Slim Jim smoking intern, Stank Bastard, and our amazing wizard guest who's let his hair down, folks, okay? What an amazing debut of the Locks yet again. Luke Easterling of Athlon Sports. But before we dive into tonight's mock draft 4.0, we have a new member on the show, okay? Another Loose Cannons intern. She goes by Loose Cannons Vixen. We're letting her get her nerves in check by allowing her to be off camera for this first night. But Loose Cannons Vixen, say hello to the Loose Cannons, I guess, degenerate.
Howdy.
Wow. Okay. Great. That's awesome. Wow. Before we get going, I'm going to let you kind of let these people know one interesting factoid about you, Loose Cannons Vixen, before we dive into tonight's very different mock draft, by the way.
Just one? I only get one?
I believe if I let you ramble, it might go a little bit long. So how about one factoid?
Okay. Oh, I cosplay. There we go.
Great. Thank you for making that.
I'm a
really
nerd that cosplays.
So do I.
There you go. You told me to keep it short. She said howdy. I did.
All right.
That's
so
a Tristan word. That's a howdy.
Yeah.
Howdy.
We can't. We have follow-up questions. Like, what do you cosplay as?
Everything. I'm a huge comic book fan, so DC, Marvel. It is usually I go with those.
Okay. I mean, that's a bit of a disappointment. I thought you were like mascots. You know, I'm into puppets and weird shit like that.
I could be a mascot if you want.
Someone said Stan cosplays as a knowledgeable podcaster.
I do.
That's pretty good. That's pretty solid. That's pretty good. Okay. So a little bit different tonight since we've already gone through 3 of these mock drafts, and last one we did was with Luke, and Luke absolutely crushed it, trading up and down the board, adding picks, getting extra bonus players. Probably the best mock we've done so far, actually, including all the ones I do on Twitter every Monday. So tonight we're going to do a little bit differently. Before each round begins, we are going to have a poll in the chat, and that poll will allow you guys to decide what our pick will be position-wise for the upcoming round as we're making and discussing the current pick. So say we go edge first round, obviously the next round poll will not include edge. Cornerback, safety, linebacker, D-line, those kinds of positions, it might still be repetitive on there, but for the most part, we're going to do our best to kind of keep that in check. So tonight's first poll has already been up there, and Vixen, let me know which one is currently in the lead for our first round selection before we start this thing.
Wow.
Terrible.
Just like Izzy completely dropping the ball. You know, I mean, this is tradition here. Honestly, tradition.
I mean, all you got to do is look at the screen and give me the number of who's got the most votes. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Oh, wait. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that would be you. I'm talking to you. Wow.
Edge rusher.
Edge rusher.
Edge
All right.
rusher.
All right. Let's get our panel. Let's get our mock draft.
I'm really glad it wasn't off-ball linebacker and then Jahad Campbell goes off the board, so we have to reach at linebacker. I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, listen, yeah, I figured there's got to be a better way to do this to where it's not the same thing over and over again, because it feels like it gets repetitive after a while. So this is kind of going to force our hand. Going to have to really make us dig deep in our deep base of knowledge, right, Luke? Pretend, obviously, you know the stuff you're talking about. You're the wizard. Dude, look at the hair. I mean, Stank, look at that.
Dude, hey, Leprechaun in the chat says, I had no idea Luke was such a stunning character. The curls are distracting.
Easily the fifth musketeer. Bro,
easily. You just heard Vixen. She completely forgot what she was doing. She was staring at Luke's hair. I know it.
Makes sense.
She forgot where she was.
So
no, I was getting ready to type a poll out.
Luke, do you have like a hair care sponsorship already? Like I feel like you need.
No, I'm open for business. Any and all inquiries.
There you go. There you go.
My email is in the Twitter bio. Fired up. Let's go.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and enter this draft. Here we go. We have to get an edge rusher in round 1. Luke, Stank, let's begin. And
if any position was going to make me happy to do that, it's edge. So I'm guaranteed there's going to be a decent edge there for me.
Okay. Here we go. These are the options we got on the screen. Okay. We've got James Pierce Jr., not a fan of here myself. We got Nick Scourton, Landon Jackson, Princely, not going to even try that last name, and Braden Swinson just kind of going through the top 5 there, Luke. What are you thinking here with having to go edge? Obviously, the guy that I wanted is not there. Malachi Starks,
right.
Mike Green. Obviously, we can't go safety, but Mike Green and Izaraku are not there. So it feels a little like my hands are tied here, but I do like Princely, but I'll let you go ahead.
Luke, before you answer, I feel like there's been a campaign, an anti-James Pierce Jr. campaign out there. People are talking about, the people who are surrounding him, the crowd surrounding him. But other people are saying, just look at the tape. Yes, he played on a good defensive line, but the guy's got some skill. So where do you fall in that sentiment with this kid?
I mean, he's the only edge on the board I'm considering here. There's a giant gap between him and it's Princely Uman Mielen, by the way, from Ole Miss. He's a Florida transfer.
Okay, fancy guy. I mean, okay.
Takes 5 seconds. There's a pronunciation guide on the team bio website.
You had to be a wizard to say that.
No. Oh, okay. If you must. No, Pierce Jr. is who he is, right? You're getting a fairly one-trick pony at the moment, but if your one trick is I can sack the quarterback with regularity and I'm super explosive, like that's what you're going to make the money to do. If you want a more well-rounded guy who can play the run a little better, sure, you can find those. But if I'm spending a top 20 pick on a pass rusher, your primary objective is to get to the quarterback. And so if you're going to do that at a high level, I'll figure the rest out. I think James Pierce is a great athlete. Again, we've talked about it before. He's more a straight line athlete than a side-to-side athlete. But he's super explosive. He knows how to get to the quarterback. So again, he's the only edge on the board I would consider with this pick. A massive reach for everybody else.
What's a comp for him?
I hate comps. I hate pro player comps. I like stupid comps. Like somebody had Cam Scadaboo comp to Gimli from Lord of the Rings. Like that's the kind of those are the only kind of comps.
Let's go with it. How would you compare him to somebody in the Marvel world?
I mean, he's the Flash, I guess. He's really, really fast in a straight line. But if you need him to, change direction side to side, it's going to take a while. He's just a sack master. Like he's get him in the building, let Larry Foote develop the rest of it. And again, at the end of the day, if he's not as great supporting the run, I can live with that if you're going to be able to get double-digit sacks. And I think he's got that type of talent.
So somebody else said this in the chat, and this was something I said a couple days ago to someone, my buddy I was talking to about this kid. He reminds me a lot of Gaines Adams in the terms of the skinny, the body, doesn't really have too much other than, that speed off the edge look. I don't like this kid because of the Gaines Adams feel I get from him. And someone in the chat said,
here's the thing, and this is why I hate pro player comps, because the minute you get that Gaines Adams thing in your mind, you can't shake it.
I didn't read it anywhere. I just look at him and I remember Gaines Adams. That skinny,
I get you. I think Gaines Adams, unfortunately, as a prospect, I think he was less explosiveness and more just decent at a lot of things and not really great at one thing. I think he was kind of explosive, but I don't think he was explosive and as fast as a great athlete as James Pierce is. I think he was He had length and he had a little bit of size to him, so he could kind of stand there against the run, but he wasn't super disruptive. He wasn't JPP off the edge in terms of playing the run. And so, Gaines Adams to me felt like a pick that you just forced into making because we need this position. He's that high on the board and we take it like it just, he wasn't good enough at any one thing. And again, this is kind of the opposite with Pierce to me, where he's not going to defend the run at a high level right away, but he knows how to get to the quarterback. He's streaky. That's the biggest problem. Like, he's got to be more consistent from a snap to snap basis. But when it's third down, when it's time to rush the passer, he knows how to get there. And again, if you can do that, I can figure out the rest. I think he's way more explosive, way more upside than Gaines Adams had.
So yeah, but I get that he's not everything we typically want out of a guy, right? He's not JPP. You're not going to get that guy at 19 anyways. But he is different than pretty much anybody else we can put out there, because we don't have that guy that can get to the quarterback in 2.5-3 seconds. It feels like,
he's very similar to Hassan Reddick. Like, that's pretty much what Hassan Reddick does. He's not the best run defender in the world, but he's super explosive off the edge.
Hassan's got more beef to him, though. I feel like he's obviously grown through he's an adult.
Well, Pierce is almost 250. He's not small.
He doesn't feel muscular.
He's high cut. We say high cut.
He's lean. 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah,
he's
6'4",
just really skinny. But here's the other thing too. I was going to ask Luke. The Bucs like to pick, the Levante David model. Does this kid have off the field character issues, locker room issues, anything like that would steer us from going this route, possibly at this pick?
Yeah, what have you heard? Because I keep on hearing everybody fucking tiptoe around it, like, oh, this kid and his crew is surrounded. Like, what the fuck are they talking about?
And on top of that, he's played the least amount of snaps of all the edge rushers that we're talking about in round one. Which again, why?
What are they alluding to? What do you know about it?
This is why I don't get into this bullshit with players and practice. And when you say things like they are saying this and people are like, the gap between who they is can be massive. And so there are very specific people that if Daniel Jeremiah or somebody that like I actually trust says, hey, there are real concerns here, I might listen. But like, there's places that have made a long history of just throwing shit at the wall and we'll see what happens. I don't do that with other people's lives. I'm not going to do that with other people's livelihoods. I watch the football player on the film or on tape and tell you what I see and tell you what I think he can be. I don't know the young man. I've never spoken to him. I talked to some of these guys throughout the process. I used to do that a good bit more than I have been the last few years in terms of like player interviews and getting to know, I went to events in person that I don't really go to anymore. And so I do so much base it on the tape and what I see. And I think, that's the best thing for me to do because that's what I do well. I've had agents ask me like, hey, what are you hearing? What's the thing? Like, that's not my game. I don't play that game. And part of that is by design. I tried to be that guy for like 5 minutes and I hated it. Like, I hate that part of this whole process. So if, there may be some people that can speak to that part of it in terms of his character. I've never spoken to the young man. I don't know him as a person. I don't know who his friends are and who is like I just don't get into that. And so if I trust Jason Light to do the due diligence to find out those things for the Bucs because they're pretty damn good at figuring out the character aspect of this the last few years. I look at the player and I can't really speak to much else.
So before I forget, I'm gonna remind everybody who's watching, make sure you guys are especially if you're on YouTube, go into the poll and go ahead and vote for what our next pick should be position-wise for the second round before we finally make this first round pick. One last question, Luke, for you. If you were to compare him and the guy right underneath him from Texas A&M, Nick Scourton, I believe, you're still going Pierce Jr. Is there? Can you give me kind of a quick rundown about this Nick kid? We haven't really had an option in any of these mocks to look at him, so I'm curious what you feel about that guy and maybe compare and contrast him to Pierce.
Basically, the complete opposite in terms of not a one-trick pony who does one thing really well. He's a well-rounded guy that doesn't have really an elite trait that jumps out to me. Listed at 6'4", 280. I don't know what he weighed in at the combine off the top of my head, but he's a base 4.3 end that probably kicks inside on passing downs when you're in nickel because he can rush from either, the traditional D end role, or he can probably kick in and be a 3-tech in a passing situation. When you got a 4-man front. Again, tough, physical, much better against the run, can push the pocket with some power, does not have the explosiveness and the bend that James Pierce Jr. has. And so I think he's He's going to give you a higher floor, but the ceiling is not anywhere near, in my opinion, what James Pierce gives you. So maybe, there's less risk involved, I guess, but you're capping your ceiling with your top 20 pick. And I'm not a huge fan of doing that.
Luke, do you take a situational pass rusher at 19 in the first round?
Here's the thing about the term situational pass rusher. Those situations matter way too much not to consider that at the top of your importance list. And so you can find guys on day 2 in the middle rounds who can play first and second down well enough against the run to get you into good third downs. If you don't get off the field, as Bucs fans, do we know how many times this team has been in 3rd and plus, 3rd and 7 plus, 3rd and 15, for God's sake,
which is a pass rusher situation.
Get off the field because they can't get to the freaking quarterback. I've progressed. I've been doing this a long time, and you've got to be able to evolve your thinking in some of these things. There are so many ways in which the way I did this stuff 10 years ago, 5 years ago, is different than the way I do it now. And you have to evolve with the league. You have to look and see what's happening in the league and be able and willing to change your mind on things. And that's one of the things to me. Like, oh, he's a rotational player. He's a situational passer. Yeah. 3rd and 7 in red zone really matters. Those are pretty damn important plays. And so if you're telling me you get him on the field right away rotationally, again, look at the team right now. You just signed Hassan Reddick. You got Yaya. You brought back pretty much that entire outside linebacker room. You're hoping Chris Braswell takes a jump. It's not like they absolutely need him week 1 to be a 100% snap starter in order to make an impact. If you are on the field for all of those important situations and you get 4 quarterback hurries, 2 quarterback hits, and a sack and a half, and then they matter in those situations, and that's why you win the game, I don't see how that's not worth a top 20 pick.
You know what? Did you hear Todd Bowles' press conference, I guess you could call it?
I saw some of it. I saw a bit of it.
He essentially said in one of the interviews I saw that he's been in the lab. He's really been, going over everything that he did last year. And he said it's taken him a long time to kind of figure out where things have gone wrong with it and come up with a new game plan. It's interesting to hear him say that because I think the book is out on what we do on 3rd down, right? We're bringing the blitz. Everybody knows where it's coming from. We can't get pressure with 4, a safety, a linebacker, inside out. Something's changing, and offensive coordinators adapt. And I feel like what has been missing is just that, a guy who can get there and get there quickly. So I tend to agree with you. Somebody like this who's known to be a speed guy off the edge, could be valuable for this defense particular.
I know we have to move on.
My concern with him, Luke. Sorry, go ahead.
No, because we might get to this when we get to corner, but this is a very chicken and the egg thing for the Bucs, where it's we do blitz a lot on 3rd downs, but that's because we can't get there with 4 and we can't lock up and play man. We don't have the corners to do that. And so Todd is kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. If you bring the blitz, but you have to run all these fire zones where you're dropping back into coverage late from these simulated pressure looks where you got 8 guys at the front and then you drop 3 and nobody knows where it's coming from. That's fine in theory, but as a quarterback, there's so many moments where I'm watching the tape as the opposing quarterback and I'm like, they give them so many layups that you can bring 8 and it doesn't matter because I've gotten rid of the ball beforehand because your corners are 6 yards off on 3rd and 4. And so there's something broken in the fact that, but I think it's a personnel thing. I don't think it's a scheme thing. And I think that's what Todd's alluding to is once you get the personnel in the building, if you can rush with 4 or you can play press man because you have the corners to do it. If you have either of those things, it's great. When you get both, that's how you can be really dominant, like the Eagles were, like the Bucs were in the Super Bowl run, like those sorts of things. If you can do both, you can be dominant, but you got to at least be able to do one or you're screwed.
Yeah, I think the way you kind of broke it down there, Luke, it does kind of ease up a little of the concerns I have of he's pretty light in the ass. And if an offensive lineman gets a hold of him, I feel like that play's pretty much over for him. But if he's being put in this position where Todd can kind of get creative and add, some exotic looks where he's the one who's getting free, it's a pretty good bet with his speed that he's going to get there pretty damn quickly, as opposed to Yaya, who no knock on him, feels like he's still not as quick as a guy like this. Instead, kind of made the same point, getting to him quickly, making that 1 or 2 plays that he does get in there every few drives count the most. And again, we have the edge rusher in Hassan Reddick. We have Yaya Diaby. I think Vita and Cansey in the middle proved their value last year without outside help. and without corners and without linebackers who can cover. So I think all of that kind of plays into the mix, and it feels like that's going to be our pick here at 19 for round 1. James Pierce Jr. is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I did look at the trade scenarios just for you, Luke. The next trade option would be the 30th pick, which I don't believe the Bucs would even consider, especially if they're being forced into taking an edge like we are. Because I think at that point it might be slim pickings. Even though I do like Swinson and I do like Princely, I think at this point you just want to take the best available rusher, which would be James Pierce Jr. in this case.
And Sammer,
there's a big gap. There's a big gap between him and the rest of those guys, and I'm sure he'd be off the board by 30. But yeah,
one thing everybody forgets is these kids all need development. Maybe he is a little light in the ass, but with that frame, you're in an NFL locker room now. You're in there in the weight room with Vita Vea. You're in there with guys who now you focus on your body 24/7, nutritionists, all that good shit. So maybe this kid puts on some good, healthy muscle,
healthy blue cheese weight. You need some healthy blue cheese
exactly.
weight.
Once we get a hold of him, we'll fatten the kid up.
No, we'll fatten him up. We'll get him good. All right, so make sure you guys have voted now. We only have 25 votes on the second round pick. Looks like cornerback / safety will be our round 2 selection. Pierce Jr. is now a Buck. There we go.
Oh, look. You could have asked me to read it this time. I was ready.
I didn't know if you were ready or if you were.
Did you just have a mini stroke there? You heard that?
Something happened. I don't know what that was.
For those just joining, that's our one of our other interns, Loose Cannon's Vixen. You see her; she's lively in the chat, and I'm sure she's going to promote our Discord channel at some point here as well, because we're doing that now. So if you guys want to get into a live chat with us and just talk shit, post your feet pics or whatever it is you'd like to do, hop on Discord and she'll send you the link. Maybe it'll be in the, I don't know. I don't even know how to do it. Just find us.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So we'll dive into that after this pick. I'll let Vixen put up the next poll while we go through this scenario. Cornerback / safety, Luke, right at the top of the board, a guy I absolutely love. Darian Porter, Iowa State, fits the Todd Bowles corner, just template. He's on. I think it's a perfect pick. Obviously, we know how you feel about that because the last time we did this as well. But the Bucs have met with Dorian Strong. I believe they've met with Parrish out of Kansas State as well. And of course, they do like Kobe Bryant. He likes them as well. And of course, we talked about Kevin Winston Jr., the safety out of Penn State a couple weeks ago. So with all the guys that you see here on your board, what are we thinking here? Obviously, Darian Porter, I believe, leads the pack, but let's kind of talk about some of the other guys here, just kind of get a little bit of contrast.
Yeah, so, you mentioned Winston, who I absolutely love. I think if he doesn't get hurt last year, he's a top 50 pick. And so if he's back to that same player, I think he could be value. He tends to be there in the third in a lot, not just these mocks, but the ones I do at athlonsports.com. He tends to be there around the third. And man, if they could get him there, that'd be huge. Parrish, I like. He's a little bit of, undersized, probably a slot nickel guy. So if that's what you want here, that's fine. But I think they need an outside guy first. There's nobody I would take over Porter. The only guy I would consider, Benjamin Morrison. His 2023 tape is super, super good. But he's coming off a season-ending hip injury. And he's already a kind of a taller, again, a higher cut guy. Those guys are always going to just naturally have trouble with their transitions and their hip fluidity and stuff like that. So you're talking about a guy who that's already a challenge for him. And now he's dealing with a hip injury that he's coming back from that ended his season last year. So that gives me a little bit of a concern. Darian Porter is a Bucs corner. Like, he is just checks every box, huge, length, athleticism, speed, still honestly learning the position. He's a converted wide receiver. So, the sky is the limit from where this kid can go. Reminds me a lot of Reek Woolen in Seattle, who I wanted the Bucs to take a couple of years ago. They ended up getting Zion in the 5th, so I wasn't too broken up about it. Because I was about as high on him as I was on Woolen, but very, very similar makeup, super tall, super long, super fast, great athletes, converted wide receivers, ball skills all day. And again, still nowhere near their potential because they're still learning the position. I think this is an easy pick.
Yeah. When you mentioned Benjamin's hips, we already have terribly stiff hips with Jamel Dean. I've had enough.
It's a similar, hips. Yeah. It's scary to me. Again, the 2023 tape is nice. But that worries the shit out of me with that type of injury when you're already talking about a bigger, taller guy.
This appears to be a slam dunk pick here. I'm gonna read you one of the comments in the chat. I need you to answer to this, Luke. MK in the chat said Luke looks like a huge Elton John fan. True or false?
I have a deep respect for Elton John as an artist and as a human being, but I would be, I'm not like deep into the discography there on Elton John. I appreciate
favorite Elton John song.
Favorite Elton John song, Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
I like the Tony Danza deal. That Tony Danza song is pretty damn good.
Yeah, Tiny Dancer. Tiny Dancer's great.
Tony
honestly
Danza.
thought he did a hell of a job with
Wait, what did you call it? Hold on, Luke. What did you call it?
Is that what we're doing? You want me to just say Tony Danza?
I didn't know it was called anything else. It's called the Tony Danza song.
It's called Tiny Dancer.
What is Tony Danza still around? We haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, he has like.
Maybe he got mad that the song didn't actually say his name, and he was so disappointed that he.
Vixen, can you look that up for us, please?
Elton John's work on the Lion King soundtrack is underrated. I think.
Oh wow, you're right. That has to be the top thing he's ever done. Yeah, Vixen, find out.
Phenomenal.
Tony Danza still alive? What's going on with him right now?
That's actually funny. I saw a picture of him the other day, and he's got the clay face thing going on that these guys get when they get older.
No, bro.
Yeah.
Sad.
Tony Danza's still alive. Where does Tony Danza?
Evidently, he is still the boss.
He is, yes.
Still the boss. Yeah.
Doesn't look like a boss. Just for shits and giggles, Luke, if the Bucs were to go safety at second or at 53 in the second round, is Kevin Winston Jr. a reach here? Do you like Ransom?
The only safety I would consider here, Kevin Winston Jr. And again, like I said, if he's not hurt, he's a top 50 guy, easy for me. Super fine. He routinely, I can sneak him into the second. Sometimes Buffalo, I think, is a great fit for him if he's there at the end of the second. But again, if you watch the healthy film of him and you're just thrilled to get him at 53, no other safety I'd consider here but him.
Okay. We've only got 12 votes on this next pick, so I'm just kind of trying to buy a little bit of time here.
Drag it out, baby.
Vixen, you ready?
But yeah, I'm gonna give the floor
I'm ready.
To Loose Cannons Vixen and let you guys know about not only our new website, loosecannonslive.com, but also our amazing Loose Cannons Bucs Discord that we just launched with a ton of cool shit. Vixen, go ahead.
All right, so on the website, it has a pretty cool feature where you guys can leave your favorite host a voicemail in 90 seconds or less. I highly recommend that you guys go do that for them. It might end up on the podcast a time or two. Second, you can check out all of the old podcasts along with the new podcasts that show up on there. You can check out the merch store, travel crew, everything you need to know about Loose Cannons podcast is on that website. And then if you really want to take it the extra mile, you can join the Discord. Discord is awesome. It's a place you can come hang out. If you want VIP content, you're going to have to become a Cannon Cartel member for just $3. $3. So check your couch cushions, check your car seats. I said it. Okay. Get in your change jar. $3. You guys can make it happen. Give up your gas station stack for a day. Okay.
Only YouTube subscribers can actually see Loose Cannons Vixen, by the way. So if you don't subscribe to the show, you can't actually see her right now. Only Jonas and Izzy right now, as far as who are in the chat, can actually see her. So make sure you subscribe.
So check this out. The coolest thing about that, and she kind of glossed over it way too quickly, in my opinion, the Cannon Cartel. Okay, the Cannon Cartel is what we're going to be calling the VIP inner circle, VIP treatment and behind the scenes type of perk, group that we want that we're going to have with you guys. And you guys will be able to see some cool behind the scenes stuff of how we make some videos, how we're going to do some stuff off air and on site. Also, you'll be able to hang with us in a live voice and video chat during away games while we're chilling in our man caves or theater room or whatever we're doing. And you guys will get to basically watch a game with us, no matter where you're at, right through the Discord app. And of course, all the other channels that are in this Discord are pretty damn cool. Tons of cool places to talk shit. Also places to play EA Sports. You can game with all these other Bucs fans. We're trying to kind of build a really cool little community. And of course, you can talk shit to Stank directly in any of the voice chats at any moment or directly through just typing it out, sharing your memes and things of that nature. It's pretty damn cool. So make sure you guys do check that out. Link is directly on the website. And if you follow us on socials and all that fun stuff. So it looks like we have some more votes finally on this next spot. Darian Porter, I believe, will be our second round pick at 53. Luke, all in favor? No, it does not matter. Luke has said it. It shall be. Boom.
Porter. Great choice, by the way.
It looks like the next pick will be a linebacker. So our hand is slightly forced here. Yes. I'm not a big fan of taking it this early because I think there's some good talent there, and I do like Kevin Winston Jr., who's there right now, as you just predicted, and he's constantly there.
Damn it.
Yes, I know. Every time I want a linebacker at 3, I look at it, I'm like, nope, Kevin Winston Jr. is right there, can't pass him up. So I'm going to make sure that I can't see him so we don't feel too bad. We're going to filter it down to linebackers. Here we are. We know how you feel about the kid Higgins out of Iowa. A little bit high to take him now. So you got Chris Paul Jr., Jeffrey Bossa, Barrett Carter, Jack Kaiser, and Kobe King as the top 5 available linebackers right now. Luke, who do you like out of this bunch? And if you were to rank them 1 to 5, how would you? Or is there somebody outside this window that you think is worth it at 84?
No, Chris Paul Jr. is the easy pick for me. I don't love going chalk here every time, but that's just the obvious spot here. He's linebacker 3 for me right now. There's, Jihad Campbell's obviously the best one, but that next tier, Carson Schlesinger from UCLA would be in that group. But Chris Paul's the next guy. I've got him ahead of Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, who I believe came off the board earlier. Chris Paul Jr., again, 3-down guy, does it all, tough, gets off his blocks, can make tackles, can cover. His name's Chris Paul, so he's going to put points on the board too. So if he's on the board here again, and I can't take Kevin Winston, then Chris Paul Jr. is really the only. I like Bossa, bigger physical guy. Barrett Carter is kind of the opposite, where he's undersized, but he's really athletic. I think either of those guys could fit in the defense, but Chris Paul Jr. is, again, linebacker 3, could be 2. He's real close to Schlesinger there. So I'm super happy to get him in the 80s here.
I feel like he's always on the board for us. Yeah. In every mock draft we've ever done, Chris Paul Jr. has been available.
I think except one. Luke, how does he fit? Does he come in immediately and he's a starter? He's right next to Levante. Is he learning from Levante? Is he going to be more of a rotation with Servassier Dennis? How are they going to kind of incorporate him? Because they are pretty high on Dennis. It's just been an injury type scenario with him, and he's finally gotten the surgery on the shoulder that they said has kind of been the reason he hasn't been able to play as much. So how does a guy like Chris Paul, being drafted at 84 in the 3rd round, come in and fit into this team currently? Is he certain packages? Is he kind of coming in and adding to the pass rush? Or is he going to be that guy that plays the earlier downs against the run and things of that nature, but also isn't going to be a liability against the pass?
Yeah, again, 3-down skill set. So I'm not worried about whether it's run or pass or anything like that. I think he's effective as an extra rusher. I think Schlesinger and even Barrett Carter, those guys are a little bit further along in that area of it, but I'm not super worried about that, especially because he covers and plays the run at such a high level. I can teach him the rest as a pass rusher and put him in situations that'll be, free him up to where it's not as much of an issue. Where the Bucs are now, it's interesting to me because Servassier Dennis, on one hand, comes in with an advantage because he's been in the system. He's got 2 years of kind of mental reps to understand, hey, I'm a little bit further ahead and I see the NFL game. I've been here for a couple of years. But he also has not proven a damn thing on the field. Like, he just hasn't been able to do it. He hasn't been healthy enough. And so you bring in a guy like Chris Paul Jr., who talent-wise, all things considered, should easily compete with him for that starting job. And this is the reason why I'm not opposed to double dipping at this position either, because like you said earlier, Sammer, there's the depth of this linebacker class gives me some intriguing guys late that I would not mind taking a flyer on the upside. Again, you're trying to raise the floor of that position. It's just like at corner and even safety. When you had one guy go down and you've got to replace him at corner with Josh Hayes or Tyrek Funderburk, and you have one guy go down and you're picking between J.J. Russell and who else, KJ Britt at linebacker. It's just like, that can't happen anymore. Again, that's what Anthony Walker Jr. is for. That's what some of those depth signings are for, to make sure that, like, at worst, you've got somebody in there who's simply competent on all 3 downs to get the job done. And so Dennis, I know they love him and I know they love the upside. I can't make the club in the tub. Like, you've got to be able to prove you can stay healthy. So right away, Chris Paul Jr. competes with him for that starting job. And I think he's talented enough to win it. But also, Levante's a 1-year guy at a time at this point. So every year could be his last year. So the Bucs need at least one linebacker now, but they need two really for the if we're looking 2, 3, 4 years down the line. I think Chris Paul can be linebacker 2 right away if he wins that job, which I wouldn't be surprised. If anything, he pushes either way, it improves your depth because Dennis is either starting because he beat him out, and that's fine, or now he's your third linebacker and you have that quality depth there. But then when Levante chooses to move on, you're guarding against that by having a guy who can step in right away when he moves on.
Outside of the South Carolina kid, is there another guy like this? Feels like where the linebackers are going to start flying off the board. Is there a second round linebacker that we, that after Jihad that ever, people are going to be falling over themselves?
There shouldn't be. Again, like I said, the gap between, Campbell is in his own tier, and then that next tier where it's Schlesinger and Paul, they're really, really close. So depending on where did Schlesinger come off the board? Do you see him?
Well, the last linebacker before our pick was 66 at Kansas City. That was Demetrius Knight Jr., who I think is kind of up there.
And then Schlesinger's at 60. So if you're telling me I have to take Schlesinger or Knight at 50 or whatever it is, 52 or 53, wherever we were, or I can wait and get Chris Paul Jr. in the 80s. That's an easy pick for me because he's in that same tier with them.
So I got to ask, why is he always available in the third round? Like, why is he? Everyone who talks about him that we've had on here, Pless, I've seen Trevor Sikkema talk him up a lot. Why is he falling this far down? Is it because of the position he plays? Is it because he's at Ole Miss, or is it just because the other positions are just that much heavier in terms of edge rushers, wide receivers, quarterbacks, things of that nature, kind of being forced upon some of these teams?
Yeah, it's a positional value thing. That's really all it is. And this happens routinely in the mock drafts that I do too. So it's not just a simulator based thing. It's like, I'm pretty high on these guys, but it's just when you go through, again, you got 32 different teams, 32 different needs, 32 different schemes and organizational priorities, teams that are contenders, teams that are rebuilding. And so all of those factors go into every single mock draft pick that I make when I'm doing a full one. And so I routinely get to the end of the second round and Schlesinger's on the board and Demetrius Knight's on the board and Chris Paul's on the board. And it's just, if you're a team who needs a left tackle or a pass rusher or a quarterback or a wide receiver and also an off-ball linebacker goes to the back of the line. Like, that's just almost always going to be the case. And that's why even for the Bucs, like, they really need one. But if there's an edge rusher in the first and a corner in the second, you're going to prioritize those positions first, which we have done in this mock and which most other teams are going to do. I think that's the biggest reason guys like him are still on the board in the third.
Just a quick note for Vixen on the next poll. Don't forget to include wide receiver. Right now, it's pretty close for the next pick between cornerback / safety or double dipping at linebacker. I highly doubt the Bucs would go linebacker this early, back to back. So if that double dip linebacker position does win out on this poll, I think we should consider that to be the wide receiver position. If you guys disagree, then go ahead and argue and call me an idiot in the chat. But right now, it looks like cornerback safety is what's going to be going down. Go ahead,
Luke. 2 questions actually. One, what's in the fishbowl that you're drinking? Somebody said vodka earlier.
No, dude, I'm a straight water guy. I drink water and maybe.
Is that a concoction that?
It's not moonshine then.
Is it some sort of wizardly concoction?
I love a good whiskey or a brandy every now and then, man. But I drink water. Like,
Luke,
I drink.
You
water.
Look like a guy who goes and gets his own water. Like, and I don't mean from the store. I mean, you go out and forage
from the watering hole down by the river.
Yeah.
This is a giant. My parents got me this for Christmas. This is a giant football.
Okay, I have one without handle.
Luke, more importantly, does that glass of water have gypsy tears in it?
I do not know what that means. And
you're a wizard. You're telling me you don't know. Hold on, you're a wizard, and you're telling me you don't know.
Reference from 20 years ago.
You don't know what gypsy tears are? I mean, you're a wizard.
That is the most delicious mountain Pacific Northwest water that comes from a waterfall right down the street from my house. It's delicious. I don't go get it by the bucket, Stank, but I might actually.
You live near a waterfall.
I do.
See,
I do.
There you go.
Only wizards live near waterfalls.
It's so, I'm not going to lie. Like, after living for 38 years in Tampa and then moving to the Pacific Northwest, I had to tell my kids, like, not long after we got here, like, if you guys are feeling weird because of like the pressure and the topography, our house sits 150 feet higher up than the top of the tallest building in downtown Tampa.
Wow.
Like, in terms of sea level. So, like, it's a weird adjustment being out here after so long in Tampa.
I'm picturing like a mountain. You have a round front door, like a shire of some type, with huge trees that you can drive through, shit like that.
I mean, I'm going to send you guys a picture of like what it looks like right around the corner from my house. Like there's a giant volcano that like sits in the middle of the road. It's pretty amazing.
Luke, anytime you get thirsty, you take that mug out to the waterfall, just hold it out, and then walk back home.
Yeah, I just walk back a cup at a time.
Yeah,
those who get on Discord, subscribe. We're gonna have a picture of him collecting his own water in there at some point.
We're gonna have a daily water
I'll
collection
bring my cloak.
clip.
I'll bring my cloak, Vixen, and we'll make a whole cosplay out of it. It'll be great.
Wow, that's amazing. All right,
I even forgot my other question. Doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter.
I'll get my picture with you. I'll even wear my hair down and curl it and everything. We can be twins.
Wow.
Look at that. And that picture will be found in our Discord. All right. Chris Paul Jr. is the pick here. Before I make this pick, let's recap what we've done so far. We got an edge, James Pierce Jr. at 19. At 53, we went cornerback with Darian Porter, who I think is going to be an absolute stud. And we're about to add Chris Paul's son, okay? The Hall of Fame lock, NBA Hall of Fame lock, Chris Paul's son, Chris Paul Jr. at linebacker out of Mississippi is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And the next positional group that we will be forced to choose is cornerback/safety. Luke, I'm going to have to go ahead and filter that for you. I have not picked cornerback safety in this spot other than one time, and it was the name that's right here at the second on the list, in Noel Williams out of California. Again, he fits the Todd Bowles template at corner. I really like this kid. I know you like Quincy Riley. I feel like it's a bit high at 121 for him, but sometimes you like your guy, you go get your guy, right? And we're kind of being forced to do things this way. So I don't anticipate cornerback will be an option in the poll moving forward. Correct, Vixen? So we shouldn't have an option to go get Quincy if we don't take him now. Okay, so we don't take him now. That's the only spot. So I'll let you kind of break down what the options are here. And of course, we have not gone safety, which I do think is a need for the Bucs kind of below the surface. And the kid out of Virginia, Jonas Sanker, is available, who I really don't know anything about, because I have had such an infatuation with the kid out of Penn State, Winston Jr., that I have not even looked at other safeties in this draft. Other than
the crazy thing is,
the kid out of Ohio State.
Jonas Sanker's in the chat right now. That's the crazy part.
No, here's what's funny. Every one of these mock drafts, Jonas in the chat is constantly asking if Jonas Sanker is available, and we've ignored him the entire offseason. And here we are, hand being forced. Okay, we've gone corner once. I believe we should go corner a second time as opposed to safety here. But Luke, I'm going to let you kind of break down these maybe top 3, 4, 5 guys here, because there is another safety from Oklahoma in there who I like, but I also don't like.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about Billy Bowman Jr. too. Smaller, undersized, ball hawk type of guy, but I think he has the shortest arms of any safety in the history of the scouting combine. I think he has like 28-inch arms, and it's not just about art. Like, it shows up. He misses a ton of tackles. And I'm just not thrilled about
a toddler
that, so.
body.
Yeah. We're a big fan,
right? Yeah.
The Bucs love length in that locker room. They love guys with length in the locker room.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, they're
true.
We're a big length podcast, honestly. So
can you scroll just a little and see if there's anybody just that pops out? I doubt there's going to be. I know you like Noel Williams, but again, this is a type thing too. We did get an outside corner earlier. I want a guy who can play both, and Quincy Riley is that guy. He is my guy. I'm just like inside, outside, tough guy. Will play the run. Can line up in the slot. He's quick enough. He can play on the outside if you need him to. The Bucs shouldn't need him to. I think he's a perfect fit in the slot. And so if I'm double dipping at corner and I get the clear outside guy in Darian Porter and I get a nickel guy and I can upgrade there, he is a top 100 player in this draft for me. So to consider him, again, this is where PFF and I, will differ in a bunch of different directions. But the fact that he's 159th on their board, that's absolutely bonkers to me. He is absolutely a top 100 player in this draft. One of my favorite corners, top 10, I think top 12 corner on my board. I'd have to look, but yeah, if he's there in the fourth, I would have been happy with him in the third. So I'm thrilled with him in the fourth. If we've got a double dip, I want a guy that plays a different type of role than the guy we got earlier in Darian Porter. I think Quincy Riley's perfect.
What about Zy Alexander at LSU?
Yeah, I was going to say, what about Zy?
He fits physically, but I don't think he tested well, or he didn't completely test at the combine. He still has his pro day. I haven't really kept up with it. I do like him size-wise. He fits the template, but for some reason I haven't heard enough good about him at the same time.
Yeah, again, fits the size template if we need another outside corner.
Okay.
And I think that's fine if you want to address the depth there, but I'd rather have a guy that I think can push and take over for Christian Izzian in the slot and know that I've got Porter on the outside, Riley on the inside, instead of getting two outside guys that I might struggle to get them both on the field as much, which again, depth is good, but if I have a guy that can push for a starting job right away, there's more of a path there for Riley. And again, as a player, I think he's just a head and shoulders above all these guys for me right now.
We keep calling him Chris Paul's son, to where people keep asking if he's really Chris Paul's son, and my answer is going to be yes. He absolutely is. Absolutely.
He's not?
Yeah, you should see him spin a football on his finger. It's ridiculous.
You know what? Though? He's Chris Paul Jr., so he is Chris Paul's son.
Exactly. I'm not lying. That's what I'm saying. He's definitely Chris Paul's son.
He's definitely Chris Paul's son.
He's the first and only linebacker in NCAA history to record an assist in a game. So right off the bat, fucking Hall of Famer. Okay.
Wait, didn't Brad Johnson get an assist when he threw himself a touchdown pass? Does he get an assist?
No, that was just a touchdown pass and a touchdown reception on the same play.
Which but the pass would have been an assist, technically.
No.
He assisted himself.
No, you have to be a basketball player to do that. So we've talked about double dipping here.
With the trade, you think that Quincy Riley, we could drop down a couple spots, pick up another pick because we're missing one?
I mean, dude, I would probably trade down from every pick if I could. So
what's the offer here?
Next one is 151, and we're at 121. We'd have to move down 30 spots. I don't see that happening, honestly. And the Colts don't have much.
What are they offering though? What are we getting back?
They only have 3 picks right now left on the board for them. I don't see a scenario. Yeah.
We don't have a fifth.
I don't see I don't see the Colts giving up more than one pick here to take picks away from themselves. They have a lot of needs.
If they gave us their 5th and their 6th, but we're giving up our 4th though.
They would give us 151.
It's too late. It's too late.
It's too far.
It's too late to get. Yeah.
So last question, Luke, before we make this pick, to give people time. Again, you guys got to vote on the poll for the next round that's coming up. Talk to me about this Jonas Sanker kid, because technically it's cornerback / safety. Is that kid good enough to take over Quincy? And also there was another corner I did want to ask you about, also the guy out of North Carolina whose last name is Hussey. Huge fan of any Hussey that I can add to a team. Okay, so
I like that. His name is Ali. I like that.
Alija.
Hussey.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of Hussies. So if I can add one, I'd like to know a little bit more about him. So tell me about Jonas, and then tell me about this hot little Hussey out of North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, Sanker again, he's a solid guy. I see him much more as a depth late round kind of special teams guy. Got quite a few safeties, I think, ahead of him. Hussey is fun because if you're gonna go nickel,
yes, they are. Yes, they are.
I pronounced it correctly, but anyway. No, I
tomato,
think,
tomato,
I think, again,
tomato. Okay.
He is a guy I would consider over Williams and Alexander because, again, we're talking about where the fit is scheme-wise, and I think he's a much better fit in the slot as a nickel. If Riley wasn't there, he's the guy I would even more lean towards. But again, if you're shorter but you're not super thin and you can be tough in the trenches, because if you're lining up in the slot, you're closer to the line of scrimmage, you're closer to the tackle box, basically, so you've got to have a little toughness to you. To be able to shed blocks and play in the run. I think he's a solid fit there.
If we're talking about names, though, how are we ignoring Upton Stout, bro? What a name.
Great name.
What a name.
O'Donnell Fortune.
Not a good
O'Donnell
player,
Fortune is a great name.
Yeah, I like that kid, actually. I like that.
These all seem like fake names. I don't buy it. Billy Bowman Jr. sounds like a car salesman's son. Mm-hmm. Come down to Billy Bowman Ford. And Billy Bowman is one doing
Maybe he is. Who knows?
Yeah. If you don't come down here and drive away with a car, then I'm lying.
Are you guys making fun of the South?
You can't live any further south than we do, Vixen.
Yeah.
We're technically the southernest Southerners.
Tampa's
I don't know. Florida's like a mixed breed state.
Wow.
Central Florida. There's some south in like Central Florida and South Florida, but like most of Florida is not the South. You have to go north of Florida to get to the region.
South.
There's some southern shit going down in Gainesville.
Hey,
that's what I mean. Like there's parts of it, especially in Central Florida, where like if you want to compare like especially like metro areas like Tampa, St. Pete to like where my family's from and like deep South Alabama and Georgia and that's the South compared.
Just got to go to Polk County. What are those people?
Does Vixen have a Chinese
that's what I mean.
What? No, Leprechaun. I believe she has a Southern accent, maybe a Southern Belle accent. Definitely not an Asian or Chinese accent. That's weird.
What?
Someone asked if you had a Chinese accent.
Yes. Compared to you, Leprechaun, yes.
Yes. It looks like the next pick will be an interior defensive lineman that's currently leading, even wide receiver, 38% to 29%. That's crazy because I do think we should be adding a wide receiver at some point. But it looks like the pick will be Quincy Riley here. Luke, is that what we're feeling here?
Yeah.
Even over my, crush on Noel Williams and my absolute love for Hussies.
Hey, Luke.
Sorry.
I haven't heard anybody mock a tight end to the Bucs. And I get it. I mean, we're big Cade Otton podcast here. We like Cade and Culp and then the other guy, I forget his name all the time. But is there a scenario? Is there a guy that you love, a tight end? Because, I mean, it seems to be a position that no. All right. Well, there you go.
I mean, here's why. Yeah. Like for the Bucs in particular, if you could get Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, like somebody that gives you some sort of matchup, like mismatch upgrade in the passing game over Cade Otton. There's just like, once you get past those really special tight ends in this class, there's nobody that does anything at a level high enough to where Cade can't do it, or even Payne Durham, or again, Devin Culp with the speed he brings. He's undersized, but he's super fast. And then O'Keefe, the way he brings the kind of fullback role, like they've really got everything in that tight end room. So if you're not bringing in anybody that raises that ceiling or brings a trait to the table that really, raises the game. And I feel like once you get past those top two guys, I like Mason Taylor, I like Elijah Arroyo, but they're again, kind of like that Cade Otton, like decent athlete, big frame, really reliable, catch the ball away from their body. They're possession tight ends. And so they already kind of have that in Cade. And if you're not going to be able to upgrade any of those specific roles, and you're going to have a new rookie coming in and have to learn the offense where you've got an entire tight end room who knows this offense. Mm-hmm. There's not a spot that makes sense for the Bucs in really any round once those top two guys are off the board.
It's hard to turn down a special tight end. I will say that. Huge tight end podcast here, obviously.
I've got Tyler Warren going 5 to the Jags now, guys.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking about the same thing, Luke. We are going to pass up on a beautiful hussy out of North Carolina.
I forget what show I'm on sometimes. I apologize. I really do.
You got to let your hair down a little bit,
Yeah.
I know. I did. I literally did that.
Just dad jokes all night tonight with me. All right, we're going to go with Quincy Riley out of Louisville. I'm glad we're adding a Cardinal to this team because I don't know what's going on with Vixen, just laughing delayed. I don't know. You okay there, Vix?
I'm laughing at chat. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, look, Leprechaun says, I like big butts as my go-to. I agree.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing at. There you go.
Yep. All right. It looks like Lincoln Riley is our pick here. We are adding another corner.
Lincoln Riley? We just drafted a head coach?
Oh, sorry. Quincy Riley. My bad.
Oh, no.
I went with the wrong Cardinal. My bad.
Oh, no. You drafted Adrian Peterson from the Bears instead of Adrian Peterson from the Vikings. Oh, no.
Brian asked, pass on the Hussey and the Big Johnson. You guys don't like the party or what? I agree, Brian. But you know what? You guys are voting in the polls, okay? I can't control the polls. There's nothing I could do. I look like one of those dictators that would control the polls. But in this case, in this scenario, I am not. Here we go. And we're going with Quincy Riley, another cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the next pick will have to be.
I knew he was going to pick that. I just knew it.
Yeah, I know. We kind of set it up for him. It's kind of fucked up.
But,
yeah.
Wizards are creatures of habit because they have to be because that's how spell books
What position are we taking right now?
Defensive lineman.
Interior.
The guys I really like on here.
Tonka. Y'all better pick Tonka, chat.
I like Tonka. Okay. Vixen, focus on getting that poll up sooner rather than later, please. And don't put corner on there anymore. Maybe safety.
I'm doing it.
Maybe.
Safety. I'll do safety. Yeah.
We talked about Tonka last time you were on, Luke. You do know where you feel on that guy. We did also discuss Junior Tafuna out of Utah, I believe. Curious what you think of the behemoth and massive ass human being, Cameron Jackson, out of Florida, who I think needs to gain more weight. People saying they need to lose weight. No. And also what you think of Simeon Barra Jr., who is the top ranked one currently on the board right now. So we'll start with Simeon because that's going to be a serious conversation. And then we're going to go to the even more serious conversation with Cameron Jackson, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are all like late round picks to me. So like they're Jags, just guys, right? Just a guy.
Negativity, man, just unbelievable.
We are in the sixth round, right? Fifth round, sixth.
To me, we're in the fifth. So like
round.
Tonka to me is such a great scheme fit because he's not, I think he's like 285 or something like that. So he's a little lighter, but it's that Logan Hall, early down 3-4 end, and then you can slide him inside to pass rush. Barrow again, it's just, are you filling roster spots at the bottom of the roster? Or do you have like a clear role defined where this guy's going to be able to come in and make the team and make an impact? Because in the fifth round, especially if I'm pinned into an interior defensive lineman, fifth round is usually where if I don't have a clearly defined role for you, you better be able to play on special teams and make an impact right away. And I'm looking for like high upside athleticism guys in that situation. I don't know if a lot of these names that you mentioned kind of fit that. Jackson is the fun one, obviously.
They got the tush push is still around. Okay. Jackson is the anti-tush push.
Might actually take up like two guys with one roster spot. So you're getting,
he's probably like 7 tushes, literally. He's 7 tushes worth of pants.
Big dude. Ty Robinson's the only other guy like I would consider here. I think, and again, Nebraska guy, Jason Light, great, incredible athlete, dominated the combine. And I think he, again, very, very Logan Hall coded in terms of his frame and skill set. So I like.
We do have 2 trade offers as well. If you think that none of these guys are value.
I love Tonka here. I think that's value. I'm fine.
And they met with Tafuna at Combine. I'm not sure how much that really weighs into it, if that's some smoke and mirrors type shit. I like Tonka here as well. Let's check out what these trade scenarios might be. It's moving down from 157 to 162 with the New York Jets.
Oh, that's only a few spots.
And you can also move down to 166 with the Texans. Not a lot of picks for them to kind of send our way to kind of make it, worth it, in my opinion. But these 2 picks.
We get an extra pick. We only have one more after this, so we get an extra pick if we do it.
This one makes a little bit of sense.
186.
If they'll give us 186, I'll take it.
You want to try to see if we can pull this one off?
Yeah, run it up.
Let's do it.
Will not be accepted. That's the thing. They don't have enough chips to play with. We could go to 207. That's a pick they got from Kansas City. Again, it's not going to be accepted. So
yeah, they don't care.
Yeah,
we'll try it out.
I don't
gonna do it.
No, I'm not gonna. I don't want to be the guy who forces the pick like this is Madden. So, my opinion should be Tonka Hemingway here.
Tonka.
Not much else to say
Bring
about it. I believe we have a current poll running right now. We've got 16 votes. Wide receiver is leading that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make this pick because that wide receiver one definitely needs to happen.
Vixen messed the last pull up and I ended it right after I started it.
There you did.
Izzy has kind of left the bar pretty damn low, so I think you're doing great.
Yeah, you're already clearing. By a mile.
First of all, this is the first time y'all have done the polls thing, so this is new to me.
All right, so right away, the pick at the top is the pick I want because, and this counts because I would brand him as a receiver.
Oh yeah. Tight end. There it is.
He's there's your difference maker. There's your guy that has a trait because he's basically a giant wide receiver and he's in that Evan Ingram type of role where he's flexed out all the time. He's not going to block a damn soul. But this is, his dad played receiver for the Dolphins for a little while.
Oh, that's his son. I recognize the name. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, just go listen to Kyle McCord talk about being able to throw the ball to Oronde Gaston, not just as an athleticism like matchup weapon. The fact that he's in the 7th round is insane. Like, there's no way he gets to the 7th, in my opinion. But
PFF thinks he'll go undrafted because he's just not good at blocking and doesn't really do much anything else.
Who cares? Don't ask him to block. Here's the thing. I hate this shit. Like, if there's somebody who is really good at one thing and you're not going to draft him because he's bad at other things, guess what? Don't make him do the stuff he's not good at. Like, every prospect has certain things where if you only make them do the thing that they're the worst at, it's not going to go very well. Like, if you take if you take Tyler Booker, the massive offensive lineman from Alabama, who is not a great athlete in any stretch of the imagination, and you put him in a wide outside zone, sweeps and pulling him all day long, he's going to suck. If you put him in a gap power scheme where he's got a tiny little phone booth to work in and you go get that guy and dominate that guy, he's going to be an all-pro. And so the fact that he can't block anybody, that's my job. My job is to make sure I don't ask him to block anybody, and then I help him, develop that at some other point. But if you're 6'5", 230, and you're going to create matchup problems on third downs and in the red zone, and be too big for linebackers and too big for nickel defenders and too fast for linebackers, I'm just going to throw you the football. I'm not going to line you up in line, and they'll be like, oh, you can't run certain formations with him. Then like, oh, who cares? I've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan and K-Dot. Like, I don't have to worry about that if I'm the Bucs in particular. Like, that's a guy that I don't, if you're like, oh, well, he doesn't do this well, who cares? He does this well, and that's what I need him to do. I don't need him to do that other thing.
We said it with James Pierce Jr. I mean, sometimes you got to go with the guy who's got a skill set that stands out from everybody else.
Gadsden is literally like ISO goal line fade, like ball game. Like he's 6'5", 230. Like what linebacker or corner wants to face
Vincent Jackson's type body size.
Very similar.
Vixen, we don't have any more picks. I'm not sure why
I
you're
know.
throwing in another
I was getting
poll.
excited. Look, I was preemptively doing it.
We have a trade. We do have
obviously going to start a poll for grading the draft. She wants everybody to grade the draft. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one. Throw that in there. A, B, C, D, or A+.
Great.
Okay, so if Gadsden is not there, what do you think of Samuel Brown and I guess this kid Will Shepherd out of Colorado? I've really not.
Yeah, the Colorado guys
are
Shepherd is tall and kind of thin. Samuel Brown is okay. Like there's no, these are all like special teams plays for me. Like Gadsden is a guy that I'm like, oh, he's got a role. Like he can make an impact like right away. And again, an experienced guy. Like listening to Kyle McCord talk about him. Kyle McCord threw for a shit ton of yards last year, and he talks not just about the physicality that he brings in the frame, but he's such a smart guy, like in terms of being able to like read defenses and read coverages and sit down in the open spots. And again, you can create mismatches in man-to-man with the size, but his ability, it's not easy for big guys like that to find the zones and to sit down and not just create, problems in man coverage. So man, the idea of getting him in the 7th round, like nobody else on the board speaks to me in any comparable way at all.
No other position. If I were to give you a free for all here, a freebie card.
Let's see who else is available in all category. Or you have
offensive line, is always worthy of consideration there. I think. Again, I'm not opposed to double dipping at linebacker.
Here are the guys kind of across those three. This one name keeps coming up, and I'm going to ask you about him now just because I have you on here. This Ismail Mondon Jr. out of Georgia has come up a bunch over the last, I'd say, 5, 6, 7 days with the Bucs. Obviously, there's the Todd Bowles Georgia connection. I kind of like this kid. It sounds like he just has to kind of catch up IQ-wise or film study-wise with what his body's able to do. And he might be a guy that if you get this late, kind of could be a special teams guy right off the bat and possibly grow into something else and might be a steal later on. What do you think of this kid and what do you know about him? Because I really don't know much more than what I just said.
Yeah, again, kind of tall, lean guy who's got length, needs to fill it out a little bit more, needs to get more physical. But a good athlete. Again, a guy that I think right away on special teams, he's playing everything. He's on like every core special teams unit. And again, that's what 7th round picks are for. Guys that have athleticism that can stick because they played at Georgia. He played obviously you're talented if you're playing at that program. Experience against top competition. And you're going to play special teams until we get you up to speed on the mental side of the game and get you to the point where you're playing. And again, at linebacker, where you need to raise that floor, if you can raise the ceiling at the same time, which I think an athlete like Ismail Mondon does, I got no problem with that pick. And again, double dipping at linebacker is something I'd be a big fan of. Taking Georgia Bulldogs defenders at any point in the draft is usually a good idea. Getting one in the 7th round is not bad at all.
You would still take Gadsden on this in this scenario.
I would. He's just too fun. That's too easy of a pick for me.
I like fun.
Before I make this pick, I want to remind you all you guys out there, make sure you hit the like button on this video. And if you are new, hit the subscribe button. Those of you watching us on Twitter/X, it's a lot more fun to watch us on YouTube because you can interact with us on the chat. We don't really read the chat or any of the comments on X. And also, you're able to super chat with us on YouTube, and we actually will respond to your super chats on here as well. And for those of you who are listening to us after the fact on Spotify, iTunes, or Google Play, or whatever the fuck they call it now, make sure you guys head over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, like, and leave us a comment on there, interact with us. And also, you can watch this show video-wise on Spotify, just as a notification, little nudge there. And also, again, we have the new website, loosecannonslive.com. The coolest feature on there, in my opinion, other than the voicemail button that sends your voicemail directly into an inbox for us, which we will be incorporating in future shows, especially during the off season. The coolest feature, in my opinion, other than that, would be the fact that you could listen directly on the website without having to go to any one of those platforms if you don't want to. And you can also watch all of our videos directly on there as well without all the nonsense that you get from YouTube in terms of all the stuff around your, face and all that cool shit. Works on your phone, tablet, PC, television, whatever the fuck you want to watch it on. No one says television.
Not only that, you get to know us a little bit more intimately. You want to get to know Loose Cannons Vixen? Discord. All right. You want to game with her? She just invited you to game with her.
Yeah, that's not.
I'm in there every day. Every
single day.
Yeah, we're gonna have some cool voice chats in there. There's literally a room you can just hang out in there and talk to yourself about the Bucs until someone else pops in there and says some shit to you about it too. So, with all that being said,
Vixen, post the link one more time in the chat for everybody.
It's on loosecannonslive.com/join, and you can join.
Yes.
Yeah, the Cannon Cartel, which is I think the coolest thing they're going to be unrolling here, where you guys get to do a bunch of cool VIP perks and merch discounts and things like that, and you get to be part of the cartel. Sounds pretty damn cool, especially if you know my background. So
still, iffy about the name. I wish you would have chosen my recommendation, but
let them know what you wanted. Tell them what you wanted.
Cannon Cunts.
Cannon Cunts. What do you think? What do you think there, Luke?
I think you made a good choice. I think you made the right choice.
All right.
Gatson is the pick. Tight end / wide receiver / mismatch nightmare for defenses facing the Tampa Bay.
We had to get Grizz something. We had to get something for the offense. That's our only offensive pick.
Grizzy.
They don't like that.
Look, I need you guys to check the grade out for you really quick. You're full.
There you go.
Check it out.
B+ for being forced into picking a position. That's a good grade.
Yeah. I mean, they would have given us an A+ if we would have taken Demetrius Knight Jr. there, which I would have been very cool with. But we still get Chris Paul Jr., okay? Basketball playing linebacker, which is amazing. And Lincoln Riley, like I said earlier. So I think this is a pretty good draft. Not really considering that tight end / wide receiver there ever before you got on this show with us, Luke. But what's your favorite pick here so far? And which one do you look at and go, man, I really wish we didn't have to make this positional pick at this spot?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only, James Pierce Jr. is the only pick that doesn't I was not happy with the way the board fell. Like if we get Ezaraku there, I'm a lot happier. Darian Porter, I love there. Chris Paul Jr. Those two picks are like chalk in so many mocks I do for the Bucs, just because I think if the fit and the value is gonna line up in that way. I love Quincy Riley. I know people are going to look at the board and be like, "Oh, it's a reach" or whatever. This is the point in the draft. There are definitely guys where I'm going to stand on the table.
Trevor Sikkema gave you a C- for that, dude.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. He's had a busy week.
Listen, for those of you who are joining us towards the end of this and are going to talk shit about our draft, you have to understand something. We left up the positional groups round by round into up to the chat. We put a poll up every round, and that's the position that we had to force ourselves to pick just to make it a little bit interesting.
Blame yourself.
So if you don't like this draft, it's your fucking fault. It's not our fault.
It is.
I mean, we can only do so much.
We got a B+ out of it. We got a B+ out of that.
We got a B+ out of not being allowed to pick our own fucking ingredients. And yet we still somehow managed to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 amazing meals. Okay.
We got an actual Tonka truck to play defense.
Tonka, Vita Tonka.
I still think we fucked up on that pick. We should have gone with Cameron Jackson, okay, who a lot of people keep saying needs to lose weight. I am absolutely in disagreement with that.
He's already in Tampa. He's from here.
He can't get very far, okay? So why not make it easier for him, okay? He's already in front of the $1. Just let him fall into the front door. He's already here. Let's keep him here. I really do think.
Loggins called him Action Jackson. No, Inaction Jackson would be his nickname.
Dude, you know what's crazy? I remember we used to play against Gilbert. What was his name? What was his last name for the Green Bay Packers? And he really Gilbert Brown didn't really do much of anything until he played the Bucs, and that was like his best game every single year, twice a year, and then a couple times it was in the playoffs against us.
Gilbert Brown was the ultimate defensive lineman aesthetic, like just a massive deep freezer sized human being with he had like a black visor, like a dark visor on his helmet too. Dude, absolute stud.
He looked like a Madden created player, 100%.
He did. Yeah. Only if it was a Madden created player, he would also be like 99 speed and playing wide receiver.
Yeah. The reason I like Cameron is when he puts on his jersey, his number, he's so fucking fat that the number isn't even legible. It's a 21, which again looks hilarious to me. And it's just scrunched up right here. It looks like he's wearing his number as a bra. It's amazing. And the kid doesn't really move. And he's just, it looks beautiful.
If I see a massive defensive lineman with a skill position number, immediately improves them like a round grade in my.
He's been wearing 21 since he was 6 years old.
Definitely move faster with that number for sure.
He's always wanted to be Deion Sanders. He's wanted that interception, that pick six his whole life. Bring him down here and give him that shot, because in a Todd Bowles defense, he will be dropping back.
Yeah, if you're 300 pounds plus and you're wearing a single digit jersey or that's Desmond Howard's number he's wearing at like 480 pounds. That's just incredible to me. You have a level of confidence that I aspire to, and I like that.
All right. Well, Luke, before we end this amazing episode of the Loose Cannons podcast, let people know where they can get more of your amazing hair, amazing insight, and your never-ending love of Quincy Riley out of Louisville.
It's true. Athlonsports.com. I have a new 4-round mock draft every Thursday morning. I guess we've only got a couple of weeks here. So the week of the draft, I'll have a big one on Monday, and then I'll have my final first round mock draft where I actually try to get the picks right. We'll have that on the Thursday morning, the day of the draft. But go out and get the magazine. Go buy the Athlon Sports NFL Draft magazine that we've all been reading. I read it my whole life, and so the fact that I get to write. Yeah, come over to Twitter at Luke Easterling. Let's keep talking Bucs football, and I've got all my scouting reports rolling out on all the players. So if you want to know the thoughts I have on these guys, I've got rankings that I'm updating at all times. I have my new big board. My last big board will be out in a couple of weeks, so look for that.
Dave OG says shampoo conditioner routine. Maybe about the editor column in the Athlon Sports magazine. You could put that in there just I
could have. I'm a big forget what the brand is. I'm a coconut curls guy. So shampoo and conditioner, coconut curls. Go with that.
There it is.
Smells great.
I like it.
Great.
You smell beefy then.
Yeah. I've got some curls.
I'm just a bar of soap on my head guy. Anybody else? No?
That's actually was my scouting report for you. That was my comp was bar of soap guy.
Yep.
Bar of soap guy. Before we end, Loose Cannons Vixen, how is the popping of your podcast cherry tonight?
Okay. I don't think I did too terrible, minus a couple of things, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I guess I'm making pancakes for everybody.
Yeah, what was the pancakes waffles thing going on in the chat at some point?
That was a whole other poll that was going on.
Yeah, that was a whole separate poll from Mr. Leprechaun in there.
And the correct answer is clearly both.
Yeah. But do y'all want to hear my Southern goodbye?
Yeah, we'll let you end the show, which we would never allow anyone else to do, but I guess.
Oh.
Wow.
All right. Well, it's been beautiful. Don't you guys forget to subscribe if you're new. Hit that like button, because I know there's a lot of you guys. I'm going to steal his guys in here. So be sure to like the video, comment after, let us know how we did. And y'all come back now, you hear? There we go.
Wow. That was, oh my God. Can't believe we ended the show like that. Luke, thanks for coming. We'll see you for draft coverage, because I'm going to strong arm you into coming on here the entire night.
I will make an appearance. I will make it, because I love you guys, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah. We'll pull you by those fucking locks of yours, you beautiful motherfucker, you.
Bring your wand next time, please.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
Where is it? I've got.
No, Luke, don't do that. Well, we go Bucs.
It's kickoff, set it off. Go to Vegas, bet it all. Put it on the Bucs win. Whoever they gon' play gon' fall. Don't say I ain't told y'all. Loose cannons gon' fold y'all. Yeah, the Heat be 9-3, but it gets real cold.